I might want to talk to my family, my friends, my prepper group, whatever, and I don't want anybody to know what's going on. I don't want anybody to know that we're even talking. Shoot, move, and communicate. This has been indoctrinated to us since the very beginning. If you have any type of military experience or law enforcement experience or just a lot of YouTube experience, maybe the airsofter world, shoot, move, and communicate. Guys, we all have shooting down. We have the moving part down. Communication is key. And so if you take, for example, let's start with the military. The military has multiple forms of radio. One might be the MPU-5 by Persistent Systems. We did a video on it. Check it out down here. Another great military radio that has been around for a long time is the 152 and the 163 from L3 Harris. There's also the Civs radio, and there's a Doodle radio. These are all military brand, like we are doing this for the military. They're encrypted, and there's one that you forgot about, and that is the Beartooth. And for the first time ever, who's been a friend of mine for several years now, how long have we been working together, 4 years?
Maybe, it sounds about right, going on 4 years.
I think it's 4 years. Michael came all the way from California. We are gonna be the first one to offer the product to you, the Beartooth. It has primarily been in the military. Michael, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Great to see you.
Great to see you. Appreciate you coming. It's been a long drive, or a long flight and drive. Tell us about Beartooth.
Great, so Beartooth is a self-forming, self-healing mesh network, fully encrypted and purpose-built to primarily run ATAK data. In addition to all of your ATAK data, we offer push-to-talk voice messages along with sending picture data as well.
I have been around the world, and I know people have been around the world, and this video for me is dedicated towards, I would say, mostly the American end user who's trying to be more prepared in their life, more prepared for coming conflicts. We can see right now that it appears that a larger conflict is on the horizon now. We're moving troops. If you guys haven't seen this, we're recalling Army, we're recalling Air Force, and so we're preparing for a large conflict and everything that is going on in both Ukraine area and the Israeli area right now. And I don't care what side you're on. This is not about that. What this is about right now is that there is a clear and present threat to the United States. What is it? I don't know. Whatever's in your head. You can look all over the news, whatever scenario that you have. Maybe you're just preparing for a natural disaster. Maybe you're search and rescue. It seems like this has been the answer, the BAOFENG. I had the BAOFENG. If you look all over Ukraine, they have the BAOFENG. And some of the things you guys don't know is, like, on the front lines in Ukraine, they don't key up a BAOFENG, because if they do, artillery immediately hits them. You can turn it on, but as soon as you key it up, everybody knows that you're there. And I know right now in your mind, you're saying to me, Outlaw, who has that if it's an American problem? Guys, if it's an American problem that is as bad as you think it is, other countries are going to send us stuff. Other countries are going to try to disrupt. National Guard units have this. The Texas Guard has this. You just never know who you're dealing with. As a matter of fact, I just found out about an hour ago that there's a little piece this big. It costs $10,000. You can buy it right now, and I can tell you exactly where your frequency is coming from. So it is a thing that you have to be worried about. And for a long time, I tried to get Michael to bring this to the public market, and he thought it was a great idea. Now he's ready. And so let's go over some of the reasons why the Beartooth is so much better than what most Americans have as a BAOFENG.
You know, one of the things is this is a low probability of detect, low probability of intercept device. What does that mean? Low probability of detect means it's difficult to detect it in the electronic spectrum. We achieve that using frequency hopping sped spectrum, relatively modest output power versus the sensitivity of our receivers. That allows you, the end user, to get very good propagation without spreading a whole bunch of RF energy out into the network. Secondarily, a simple device like the BAOFENG, well, that's certainly a utility tool for broadcasting just traditional push-to-talk voice. It's not going to give you the mesh networking that we give you. It's not going to give you the ability to send ATAK data, and it's not going to give you the ability to send things like routes and pictures that as you're moving and communicating with your friends or your survival group, you're not going to have any of that capability that we're giving to you in a device like the Beartooth.
So can you explain to us what is a mesh network?
So a mesh network basically means that each node in the network can rebroadcast to the next node. So let's say that we're all, equally spaced out, say half mile apart. Well, a traditional radio wouldn't be able to get from the farthest user on each edge of the formation, but with a mesh, we're hopping through each node, connecting the dots along the way.
So just kind of go over like a couple of things real fast. Is if you're comparing radios and all of them do something different, it kind of reminds me of drones. There's no one perfect thing for everything, right?
That's right.
So the MPU-5, this is the 3-antenna one that you guys see all of the time. Kind of explain a little bit, like small pitch, what is an MPU-5? What does it do so great?
Yeah, the MPU-5 is an absolutely fantastic piece of kit. It's probably the best solution on the market to stream full motion video. So if you're doing some type of surveillance mission or some types of kinetic operation and you've got drone feed up above, really the MPU-5 is the best solution for that. We like to think of ourselves as sort of the poor man's MPU-5, meaning if you don't need that full motion video, I can save you about 3 pounds of radio and 10 pounds of battery and about $20,000 and deliver a $1,000 device that's going to give you all of the voice communication, all of the ATAK data transmission, and a lot of other, and all of the key features around mesh networking that allow you to shoot, move, and communicate, but we're doing it at a much lower price point. And frankly, a very good EW profile as well, which seems to be getting more and more important with these conflicts around the world.
All right, I'm positive the audience does not know what an EW profile is.
So EW profile is electronic warfare. Sort of means how exposed are you to jamming? How much RF energy are you emitting into the spectrum to be detected? And even if you are emitting energy into the spectrum, how easy is it to direction find you? So for example, even though we emit very little RF energy, we frequency hop very fast, sub 20 milliseconds. So that means even if an adversary is able to pinpoint that there's RF energy in the spectrum, due to that very fast hopping, it's going to make it very difficult for them to direction find you.
Right, where if you have something like a BAOFENG, they're going to absolutely find you.
Very little or to no electronic warfare protection in a radio like that.
Yeah. And so, guys, again, I'm going to beat a dead horse here, but I'm going to beat it all video long because so many people have the BAOFENGs. I had them. And then now as I start looking, people on scanners can pick this up. If I have just a regular police scanner, I can pick up everything you're saying. Can I pick up anything on Beartooth with a scanner?
Absolutely not.
And the reason for that is it's encrypted, right?
So 2 reasons. So at the first level, it's a frequency hopping radio. So you're hopping across the frequency so fast that no one on a spectrum, or excuse me, on a scanner can lock onto your frequency. And then secondarily, on top of that, you can layer on full AES 256 encryption. So you control the keys, you're able to load the keys and change the keys very easily. It's just a simple one GUI box on the user interface.
All right. I know you guys don't know what that means either. I had to take a class to learn what it means to change the keys. What are the keys and what does it mean to change them?
So the key is just what sets your encryption profile and basically writes the algorithms inside the software to make sure that no one can intercept your messages.
Right. So if I don't know your key, I can't get on your radio.
That's correct.
And then you have to set all the radios up to the same key. And that's what all of the military radios are, guys. It's MPU-5 is that away, Civs is that away, Doodle's that away, L3 Harris is that away. They don't necessarily, they all have the capability to talk to each other, but they don't all necessarily talk to each other unless they're in the same key, right?
That's right.
Interoperability, how does it work? Does it work?
Yes, that's a great question. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure is that our systems could work with any systems that exist on the market. So a Beartooth mesh network can talk to a persistent systems network. It can talk to a Harris network. It can talk to a Civs network. It can talk to a Doodle network. It can talk to a, we haven't talked about Trellisware. We're going to talk to a Trellisware network. How we achieve that is we take everything that's happening on the Beartooth side of the mesh network and we put it into a product of ours called a gateway that takes all that proprietary Beartooth traffic, turns it into internet protocol traffic, and that traffic can be pushed onto those networks, whether it be the persistent systems network, the Civs network, or the L3 Harris network.
Michael, so one of the things I've noticed here is that the Beartooth fits inside of a magazine pouch perfectly.
Yep.
You can also clip it up to your body.
Yep.
You can clip it to the back of your backpack.
Yep.
It weighs, do you know how much it weighs?
6 ounces.
6 ounces?
Yeah.
Weighs 6 ounces. How rugged is the system?
So the system's very rugged. We haven't had one break yet. We've had it out in use whether it be from Special Operations Community or the Marine Corps, and these guys have really put it through the paces, and we haven't broke one yet. So it's quite a rugged device.
You guys can go back through the channel and look that I use an MPU-5 for work. MPU-5 I can get, if I'm very selective and I'm not using video, pushing 8 to 10 hours on the battery. What is a battery life on a Beartooth?
Yeah, so that's one of our real competitive advantages. We get over 3 days of battery life under continuous usage. So it's really nice for the person operating with the Beartooth. They don't have to carry a bunch of extra batteries, and they have the peace of mind knowing that they have 3 full days of use of the radio.
Okay, so this is the Beartooth device. It's a mesh network. It's not a walkie-talkie. It's not a BAOFENG where you push to talk. Explain to me, how do we talk on this?
Great. So you're exactly right. So we have a second part of the system to really make the Beartooth mesh network powerful, and that is the software that we write that interfaces with the existing smartphone that you carry. So we're able to use both an iPhone or an Android device to control your Beartooth mesh network. In this case, we'll be talking about how we use it with ATAK. So ATAK is the Android Tactical Awareness Kit, and that's spun out of the Android Tactical Assault Kit, which was developed by the U.S. Special Operations Community. That same piece of software has been released to the public. You can find it on the Google Play Store. We have a plugin that mates with ATAK, and you use that to control your Beartooth devices. That's where you plan all your routes, place your points, message the other members of your group, or even send a push-to-talk message.
Okay, so what I can do is, and we'll show you some B-roll of this, but what I can do is I can open it up. So this is what you guys see when you see an operator have something on his chest. It's the phone on your chest. You guys are like, what is it? It's whatever ATAK device that they're using. So Beartooth is separate from the phone. The phone would still go on your chest. And then this gives you the ability that I can type a message on the phone if I want to be quiet, just a normal text message, and then Michael will get it. What is the lag time?
It's near instantaneous. So for a text message, it's milliseconds.
Okay, and then I also have the ability to do push to talk?
Yes.
Okay, and that push to talk isn't you don't hear my voice, right? You hear the computer?
No, that's something new since the last time you used it. So we have 2 types of voice. The first one is what we call synthetic voice, which there's some very special use cases for that. But the second one is real, regular old push-to-talk voice, just like you do on your old VHF radio.
Oh, nice. So yeah, you have made some leaps since I've played with them.
Yeah.
Guys, I've used Beartooth quite a bit. They really helped us out in some current places, and I love them, and I've always loved them. That's why I've begged Michael to bring them to the market. Michael, I got a question for you. Are you taking this away from the military, and why are you offering to civilians now where you've been mostly military for the last 4 years that I've known you?
Yes, we spent the last few years just really proving out the technology with the military, making sure everything was working correctly. And now we're just seeing that we can also help just regular everyday people, consumers, prosumers, outdoors people who just want to be prepared for whatever might happen, whether it's a flood or a hurricane or a tornado or some type of disaster. We want to give them the same technology and capabilities so they can take care of their families and loved ones as well.
And also, so that the government cannot listen to anything that you're saying. Okay, Michael, question, what is the range on a Beartooth device?
That's a great question, and something we can really educate people about. So range is obviously very dependent on terrain. Pure line of sight, we can talk 30 miles off with these. We've talked off airframes across, mountaintop to mountaintop, 30 miles with the Beartooth. We've also talked 10 miles across the open water, sort of standing on the cliffs at the ocean and shooting all the way down the beach a full 10 miles. On a flat surface, say an airfield, we've talked for a mile across an airfield. Feel really good about that range there. Now, as you get into tougher terrain, whether it be trees, maybe 1,000 meters, and then in real dense urban, we can expect 200 to 600 meters.
So now I know a lot of you right now are saying, "Hey, what do you mean dense urban?" So think of downtown Dallas. I'm sure all of you have been there. If you're in downtown Dallas, you can get 200 to 600 meters if they're on the operators.
Correct, and that's just single hop, so that's one hop at a time. But let's say they have 5 or 6 guys on the street equally spaced out, all of a sudden you're multiplying those single hop distances. But we like to quote everything in single hop distance.
Okay, so now what happens if I bring in the Echo 1 drone? So the Echo 1 drone, it's not out to the market yet, maybe for you guys soon though, and I put a Beartooth device on the Echo One and I put it up 500 feet or 1,000 feet, then how far are we talking?
So that's a really great tool, and we're going to change some of those range dynamics by a full order of magnitude. So that dense urban, where you were previously getting 200 to 400 meters, you're going to get 2 to 4 miles. It really changes the propagation characteristics really quickly. So it's a super great tool. And not only that, well, that's an awesome drone. You don't even need one that big. Something this size is all it takes to carry a Beartooth. So we fly on something as simple as the smallest DJI or smallest Parrot drone as well.
So as long as you have your 107 license, you can put this thing in the air up to 500, I think 400 and something feet. And then this gives you the ability that now you can talk. Same thing is, you can put it on top of one of the larger buildings and get similar results.
Absolutely. So we call it just getting to an advantaged location. So whether you're flying it on a drone, on top of the water tower, on top of the highest hill in town, on top of the biggest skyscraper in town, by simply just placing one node in an advantaged location, you really give that mesh network a lot of opportunity to build a really dynamic and wide coverage bubble.
Okay, so here's another question that if I have the Beartooth device and I have the phone, do both of them have to be on the drone?
No, just the Beartooth.
Okay, so not the phone.
Nope.
Just the Beartooth.
Absolutely, just the Beartooth.
When I buy a Beartooth, am I buying the Beartooth and the phone?
So we can deliver it two ways to the customer, whatever best meets their needs. So way one is we can ship just Beartooths, but we also sell ready-to-go kits that you can open up straight out of the Pelican case that have both Beartooth, ATAK phones, and even some other goodies to help you with whatever task you're trying to accomplish.
One other question about the kit before we go off to the next thing is, can I use regular Peltors for this kit, or what? How do I hear versus this thing just talking?
Yeah, so we have some simple consumer grade push-to-talk with earpieces that we've already integrated in, and with a little bit of customized work, we can also pull your Peltors in for you as well.
Okay. So another thing, guys, that I want to talk about just briefly about what I like about this Beartooth so much is this is it, right? This is it. I personally didn't put a SIM card in my phone. So it just runs off this, no SIM card needed, correct?
No SIM card needed.
It's encrypted, which means nobody can listen to what I'm saying, nobody can read what I'm saying. If I send a text message off of this, nobody gets it, right?
Nobody gets it.
Nobody gets it. So these two things also make it really, really easy to where I can, worst case, shove this down in my pocket, hold the phone like I'm just texting somebody, and I can still have the ability to use ATAK and still see all of our people on ATAK. We have another video coming up that's going to just show you literally everything about how to use this and how to use ATAK. But what are some of the features that help you with Beartooth and the ability to use ATAK? Because now we know that we can talk to each other, but what else can we do?
So I think some of the features that we use the most are marking a point of either a friendly or an unfriendly location on the map, plotting a route on how to get to that point or avoid that point. As they say, a picture is 1,000 words, right? So being able to send a picture is one of the commonly used features that we use. And then also messaging. And messaging can be broken into three broad characteristics: a group message, which goes to everyone on your Beartooth network. A specific group, you could set up the blue team or the red team, and we could also send a one-on-one message, so just you and I could be talking to each other, Trey.
Okay, so let's break some of this down, because I find this some of the most interesting things that the Beartooth can do. Pre-emission, we can make a map where we want to go, and then everybody gets to use that as a GPS. So instead of your regular Garmin GPS giving you the easiest route, you can look at it and be like, hey, through our own reconnaissance, we have found out that we cannot just take the direct path. We have to go in this area. We have to have these stops. And then everybody gets that, correct?
That's absolutely right.
And then the next thing is, we already told you, this is the poor man's MPU-5. And the MPU-5 for the entire dismount kit is now 40,000, push to talk, everything. The radio's 20. That will give you live streaming video, incredible live streaming video. This will not give you that, but this will give you a photo.
Yep.
Which means in the way that I would use it right now is I come up and I'm like, hey, is this our bad guy? Is this, or hey, the truck looks like this because it's falling off the cliff. and I can take that and I can send that back and the guys can know. Or so there's so many things you can use a photograph for. The terrain is too difficult here, here's what it looks like. This is currently where we can't figure out exactly where to pinpoint this, but here's a photo so you can see what it's beside. Hundreds of uses for having a great photo on your phone, and this offers it. Another thing that this does really well is, let's say there's 4 of us on a recce team. I think this is what you guys like. This is what we can all communicate on. 4 guys on a reconnoitering mission where we're going to the neighboring town and trying to decide who's the good guys and who's the bad guys, however you want to set that scenario up. We are able to talk, all 4 of us can see that, or I can just say, I'm not talking to the entire team, I'm just talking to Michael. But then also what we can do is we can start setting points where we say, this is a bad guy, this is a hazard area, this is a potential problem, this is a good guy. And real time, everybody gets it. I think that's really key. I think currently that's what the military uses it for right now. Search and rescue. We know that they're right here. So now we can send a helicopter right there to get them. So search and rescue inside the United States, we can pinpoint that to a helicopter. We can pinpoint that to the search crew that's coming to get them. There's just so many different ways that you can use this and pinpoint on your cell phone exactly what's going on in real time. Is there any compatibility with Starlink?
Yeah, so we've really enjoyed seeing Starlink rolled out to more and more places. We're fully compatible with Starlink. So what we can do that's really, really cool is you can build a mesh network in the localized area you're at. So right here in Lubbock we could build our own specialized mesh network. We could plug that into a Starlink terminal. We could push that up and out back to our Bozeman, Montana headquarters. We could be running a mesh network in downtown Bozeman, maybe stopping by the Crystal or heading up Pete's Hill. You could be seeing all of that traffic in real time that's getting taken from the Beartooth mesh network in Bozeman, pushed up and over Starlink, dropped into your Starlink here and running on your Beartooth network here as well.
All right, let's unpack that a little bit. That means whatever I'm doing, I can communicate with Bozeman, Montana. I can communicate with Seattle, Washington. I can communicate with Europe, correct?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, and then so does that mean that they're gonna see the same thing I see in ATAK?
They're gonna see the exact same thing. And as you're thinking about mission planning as well, so let's say that you wanna do your reconnaissance mission, which is gonna be done on the low probability of detect Beartooth network. Your Starlink terminal is always going to be a little bit higher probability of detect. Any SATCOM signal is pretty noisy. So what you could do is you could stand off your SATCOM on a hilltop. You could run your mission on Beartooth down in the valley. No one would see that electronic energy. And then all of that data is being pushed up and out to headquarters via your Starlink terminal that's hidden up on the mountaintop.
If I wanted to, I could create a mesh network inside of Lubbock. And let's say I have a friend that's in Nashville, Tennessee. We can create one in Nashville, Tennessee, and then we are talking will it work in grid down?
So as long as the satellite grid is still up, you're still good to go. So the LTE network could go down completely, but as long as Elon keeps Starlink up and going, you're still good to talk across those 2 networks.
Yeah, and so for every kind of scenario of a grid down situation, Starlink would still be flying, right?
It sure should be.
Yeah. So, and then that's like, the government can't intercept our communications from city to city either.
Exactly, that's the other thing we should have talked about is all of that traffic that's running on what we call the gateway side of the network, that's dual encrypted. So you're encrypted at the first level on the VPN or virtual private network, and then also at the secure socket layer as well. So you've got 2 layers of AES 256 encryption. So
I'm wondering now, what is the scalability of the Beartooth? Can I put 4 guys, 8 guys, 2 guys? How many guys can I put on the Beartooth that can communicate with each other at one time?
So that's a great question. So the network's very scalable. We've run 100 simultaneous users with the Marine Corps, so we're very confident at 100 users. The math, the way we've written our network model, should support 500 users. So we're very comfortable scaling to 100 users easily, maybe even a couple hundred users. So it's a network you can put a lot of nodes on very quickly.
One of the things that a typical military radio has, the MPU-5, the Harris 163, like they all get hot. I would say the MPU-5, which this is the poor man's MPU-5, but the MPU-5 is the least of them getting hot. Harris gets really hot, like guys, so hot that it like feels like it's burning your skin. So do we expect the same out of this? Are they going to get hot?
These don't get hot at all. And speaking of heat, there's been multiple times where we're the A in a PACE plan, for example, on a big military exercise, and some of those other radios that you reference overheat within the first few minutes of the exercise, and we move from the A in the plan to the P primary for the entire balance of the exercise. So 15 minutes in, we might be the primary radio for the next 4 weeks.
So you know me pretty well. You know that I am the dummiest of dummies when it comes to radios, and I just want to turn it on and work. How hard is this for me, the extremely non-technical guy, to use? How hard is it to use?
So one of the things that we've focused on is absolutely ease of use. So there's no, unlike a traditional radio, there's no channels or codes or programming or any of that. To turn it on, you literally just turn the power switch on. It'll populate into your ATAK interface. You select the device and you're up and running. It's that simple. We handle all of the things that used to be hard, whether it be channels or programming. We handle in the software layer, and it's all abstracted from the end user. The other thing that we've done to make this really easy to use is we built it in the ISM band. And in that band, we have what's called unlicensed spectrum. So you, the end user, you don't have to go get spectrum. Almost all these other radios that you've talked about, you have to go out and get spectrum from the FCC to use them. And a lot of users find that to be a laborious process. So we wanted to make it easy for the user and build a radio on a frequency band that allowed you to run on unlicensed frequency. We think that makes it really easy for you to use out of the box.
So guys, one of the things that has always kind of turned me off about ham radios is, you know, you can't use them too much. I tell you, I had a really good friend of mine. He's a, you know who you are, you're a former team guy, and he was trying to get into the ham radio world, and he had his radio up too much, and they legit, other ham radio guys in this area started looking for him. He's long since gone, so if you're those guys, sorry, he's not doing it anymore. But they were able to pinpoint him and be like, hey, it's somewhere right here. That's other ham radio operators. I was always turned off by them because I thought, well, if you turn it up too much, if you get on the wrong channel, or ham radio really, this is the one that really gets me, is when people are like, we have ham radios and we could talk all the way across the country. Maybe you can talk all the way across the country if the weather is right, but do you actually know who it is you're talking to all the way across the country? Beartooth can actually talk all the way across the country, all the way across the globe. Nobody can listen to it. There's nobody that can scan you. There's nobody that can stop your communications. There's nobody that can pinpoint where you are, listen, and go potentially harm you. You can talk all over the world, totally encrypted with the Beartooth. So you said you kind of had what we'll call like a dismount kit. So in my mind, a dismount kit is I'm out of my vehicle and I'm on foot and I'm moving. I don't know, do you have a name for that?
So we just call it an operator kit just to make it simple, but it's typically, we'll deliver it in a Pelican case, and there'll be enough phones and Beartooths and even other goodies like some power supplies to run an operation with a small team, and it's all consolidated in a box. So, you know, if you get off the aircraft and open it up on the tarmac, there's nothing else you need to communicate for your team. It literally works straight out of the box.
Michael, so I know with a mesh network and how they're talking node to node, or if we have one up here, node to node to node. What I don't know is, how do I know that this is actually working? I didn't run out of batteries, or I'm out of range and one of my guys is going to get hurt. You know, how do I know it's working?
Yes, that's a great question. So obviously we want it to all work in the background and appear magic to you, the end user, but you might want to look in at some point and say, wow, is my mesh network actually working? So we have a tool called Network Scan, which will show you in near real time where everyone is in your Beartooth network, so it'll place them on the map for you, and then it'll draw very easy visual cues, green for a good connection, yellow for a moderate connection, or red for a bad connection for everybody on your network, so you can make sure that everyone is getting good comms, and you can move an asset like a drone if someone's starting to get into an area where they no longer have good communications.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So if we're in a city block like this and we're losing number 3 guy, we can just push a drone over and pick number 3 guy back up.
Absolutely, and you'll watch in near real time that red connection will turn green again, and you know you have good comms to him.
All right, so we just paused the camera and I just twisted Michael's arm. And if right now you have realized, you're like, oh my gosh, I am in a lot of trouble with my comms. Shoot, I'm just in trouble from day to day. I might want to talk to my family, my friends, my prepper group, whatever, and I don't want anybody to know what's going on. I don't want anybody to know that we're even talking. This is much more secure than Signal, way more secure than WhatsApp. I want literally no signature, nobody to know I'm talking. You now know you're going to buy Beartooth. You have to have a Beartooth. Like, you cannot not have a Beartooth. So I asked Michael, I said, will you give me a discount for my people, for you guys, the Outlaws? If you use code OUTLAW, for how much?
I think you twisted me down to $749.99, so $750.
750 bucks, guys. This is unheard of. 750 bucks. Understand, this is for the nodes. The phone is different. Can they buy their own phone?
They can buy their own phone, any phone you've got. So one of the things that we should just make sure people know is it works just as well with an iPhone as Android. We focused on ATAK and Android because so many people like to use that in the community, but you use this with your iPhone just as easily.
Guys, you do not want to die an amateur. Whether that's search and rescue, some sort of grid down situation, a hurricane. When your cell phones go down in a hurricane, these don't. You do not want to die an amateur. Shoot, move, and communicate. Communication is the most important thing, especially in anything in our world inside of America. Or if you travel outside of America, it's amazing to have these comms. You cannot not have a Beartooth. Use code OUTLAW.